and welcome. China's leader Xi Jinping has hailed the new world created by the Chinese people in a speech to mark 100 years since the founding of the ruling Communist Party. It was an hour-long address, and he also warned foreign powers that if they tried to bully Beijing, they would get their heads cracked. The anniversary is being marked in China at a time when it faces criticism over alleged human rights abuses and its crackdown in Hong Kong.
At the same time, the Chinese people will never allow any foreign forces to bully, oppress or enslave us. Anyone who dares to try to do that will have their heads bashed bloodied against the Great Wall of Steel, forged by over 1.4 billion Chinese people.
Let's take you live now to Shanghai. We can join the BBC's Robin Brandt, who is there for us. Danny Vincent is also in Hong Kong. Robin, if I could start with you, an hour-long address from Xi Jinping. What was his key message?
Well, look, we had balloons, we had homing pigeons released, we had a highly choreographed event in the heart of Tiananmen Square, and then we had those bullish words, the most aggressive part of President Xi's speech. And he didn't name Joe Biden, he didn't name the US or its renewed allies in this part of the world, Australia, South Korea, Japan, even to an extent the UK. But that message about foreigners seeking to oppress or bully China was very much aimed at the White House, at Joe Biden, at the US administration. And look, those words were very direct. He said that anyone who sought to oppress or bully China would have their heads bashed bloodily against a great wall of steel. So the message quite clear. Was it new in terms of its rhetoric? No, but this is an emboldened leader of this country who, particularly after the year we've had, sees his country as being in a very strong position both economically, and here is a man almost 10 years into his tenure at the top of the party who has sought to consolidate his power and shows absolutely no sign of going anywhere, even though he was due to move on next year.
Danny, there's been a huge amount of international concern and criticism about China's crackdown on dissent in Hong Kong, on press freedom, and the new security law as well. How is this anniversary being marked there?
Well, here in Hong Kong, July 1st also represents the 24 years since Hong Kong was returned to China from Great Britain. Now, usually on this day, what happens is thousands of Hong Kong people take to the streets and they protest. They simply criticise not only the Hong Kong authorities, but also the Beijing authorities. They usually criticise directly the Communist Party on this day. Now, since the national security law was introduced, obviously we've seen a complete crackdown on many types of dissent and people that are speaking out against the authorities here. In Hong Kong today, there's a large police presence on the streets. The police say they've deployed 10,000 police officers. I was out earlier in the centre of Hong Kong, and there was a huge number of police. There were not many people, at least visibly, protesting. There were members of the public wearing black T-shirts, which was, of course, the colour of the protest movement in 2019. People wearing black were being stopped by the police and questioned and searched. But it seems that the police are sending out a very stern and strong message here in Hong Kong today, and that's that protesting is simply not accepted today.
Robin, you mentioned Xi Jinping's message to the international community, to President Biden, I guess in particular, about how China will no longer be bullied. But what about his message to people watching in China about this new world that he says the Chinese have created? What was that?
Well, this, remember, is a celebration of a political party that has made it to a milestone birthday of 100 years. And what Xi Jinping was saying in his role, his most important role in this country as General Secretary of the party, is that China has come a very, very long way in the last century. I mean, look around you. There is no doubt this country is far richer, has progressed in terms of its capabilities a long, long way since it was founded back in 1949, and certainly since the party was established here in 1921. But the key theme for President Xi Jinping is that there is now a new world that China's people have taken the country into. We are under a new era under Xi Jinping in terms of his leadership of the party. And that is about giving this party relevance as it hits its 100th birthday. And that relevance is absolutely crucial, because what Xi Jinping is saying essentially is that look how far we've come. you did this, but the party had a key role to play as well. And if you want more of this in the future, this is the social contract between the party of the people. If you want more of this, more progress, more wealth, then you must accept as well more of the party.
And Danny, dissent is obviously being not allowed in mainland China. In Hong Kong, historically, it has been. But how are the opposition operating now? How are they managing to function, given so many avenues are being shut down?
Well, if you make a comparison between the last 2 years, many activists would say the city is in some ways not recognisable. So usually on this day, thousands of people will take to the streets and take part in a march, not just activists, but also ordinary Hong Kong residents that would be using their right in speaking out. Of course, Hong Kong was guaranteed a level of free speech as well as other freedoms for 50 years after it was returned to China from Great Britain. Today, people feel that almost every avenue of dissent is under attack. There were still calls today on the internet for people to at least attend some street booths in the centre of the city. Not many people were at least visibly there. It's possible that people are still taking to the streets, simply walking and perhaps wearing black, but it seems that there's not much visible dissent on this day here in Hong Kong.